Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into a topic that affects every single one of us, the taxing system. Now, before you roll your eyes and click away, I promise to make this as interesting as possible. Because believe it or not, taxes are not just boring forms and complex math. They're an essential part of our society. So, let's break down some surprising facts about the taxing system that you probably didn't know. Let's jump right in. Fact 1. History of taxes. First up, let's take a quick trip back in time. Did you know that the concept of taxation dates back to ancient civilizations? That's right. The earliest known tax was in ancient Egypt around 3000 BC. Pharaohs would levy taxes on crops, livestock, and even cooking oils. The famous Greek philosopher Plato once said, "Where there is an income tax, the just man will pay more and the unjust less on the same amount of income." Looks like tax debates have been raging for millennia. In ancient Rome, taxes helped fund public projects like road construction and aqueducts. And guess what? Tax collectors were often seen as the most disliked people in society, just like today. Some things never change. Fast forward to today, and while we may not have pharaohs ruling over us, tax collectors can still spark a little fear and dread, right? Honestly, I'm still trying to figure out how taxing something as fun as money could become such a necessary evil. Fact 2. Types of taxi. Now, let's talk about types of taxes. Did you know there are over 70 different types of taxes in the United States alone? From income tax to sales tax, property tax, estate tax, and even taxes on specific items like gasoline or alcohol, it can get overwhelming trying to keep track of them all. Income tax is probably the most well-known, where a portion of your earnings goes to the government. Sales tax is added to the cost of goods and services, while property taxes are levied on real estate you own. There are even taxes on investments and inheritances. It might seem daunting, but each type of tax serves a specific purpose. Income tax helps fund critical services like education, healthcare, and Social Security. Sales tax revenues often go towards infrastructure projects like roads and public transportation. And property taxes contribute to local community services like police, fire departments, and parks. It's kind of like the ultimate team effort to keep society running smoothly. We all chip in our part through these various taxes. Fact 3. Tax brackets. Here's something fascinating about income taxes: the progressive tax system and tax brackets. You've probably heard of tax brackets, but do you know why they exist? Essentially, the more income you earn, the higher percentage of tax you pay on those incremental earnings. For example, let's say the tax brackets are 10% on the first $10,000 of income, 20% on the next $30,000, and 30% on anything over $40,000. If you earned $50,000, you'd pay 10% on the first $10,000, 20% on the next $30,000, and then 30% only on that last $10,000 over the $40,000 threshold. This progressive system is designed to help redistribute wealth more fairly and ensure that those who can afford to contribute more to funding public goods and services do so proportionally. It's like a sliding scale where every extra dollar you earn is taxed at a potentially higher rate. Pretty clever system if you think about it. Fact 4. Tax avoidance versus evasion. Now here's a very important distinction that many people often confuse: tax avoidance versus tax evasion. Tax avoidance is perfectly legal and simply involves strategically utilizing deductions, credits, and provisions in the tax code to reduce your overall tax liability. Things like deducting mortgage interest, contributing to retirement accounts, or taking advantage of business expense write-offs all fall into this ethical category of tax avoidance. Tax evasion, on the other hand, is illegal. This involves deliberately hiding income, underreporting earnings, falsifying deductions, or flat-out not filing taxes at all. The IRS definitely does not take too kindly to tax evaders and can impose harsh penalties like fines or even jail time in egregious cases. So while minimizing your tax burden through legal avoidance methods is smart financial planning, crossing that line into evasion territory is a big no-no that can really come back to bite you. The IRS has a team of expert auditors and investigators to catch evaders, so it's just not worth the risk. Fact 5. Most common deductions. Speaking of tax avoidance through deductions, let's go over some of the most popular ones that many taxpayers miss out on each year. The mortgage interest deduction allows you to deduct the interest paid on loans for your home, which can lead to some significant tax savings for homeowners. Student loan interest is another big one. If you're paying back educational debt, you can deduct up to $2,500 in interest paid annually from your taxable income. Charitable donations are also deductible if you itemize, so keep track of any gifts to qualified nonprofits. Medical expenses that exceed 7.5% of your adjusted gross income can be deducted too. So those costly surgeries, prescriptions, and medical bills could provide some tax relief. State and local taxes like property taxes, sales tax, and even vehicle registration fees may also be eligible for a deduction. The key is keeping meticulous records throughout the year of any expenses that could qualify as deductions. A little organization goes a long way at tax time. All these deductions can really add up to some nice tax savings if you don't leave that money on the table. Fact 6. Why we pay taxes. Finally, let's talk about the bigger picture. Why do we pay taxes in the first place? It can certainly feel like a burden having that chunk taken out of each paycheck, but taxes are truly what fund and maintain the very civilization we live in. Just think about it. Tax revenues pay the salaries of every government worker, from the president and members of Congress all the way down to your local public school teachers and firefighters. The roads you drive on, the parks you visit, the military that protects our freedoms, all funded by taxes.